Peace, love, harmony, beauty, namaste to you. Welcome, mxgdml here. Back again with I Kill the Yemeni Mother, #TAXESFUNDWAR, number 3. Today's episode will be part 1 of 2, discussing Yemen history from pre-Islam to 1990 when the unification happened. I'm burning incense today because during this time, as going to be discussed, Yemen was king of the spice and incense trade in that part of the world, so it's only fitting. It's also Nag Champa incense, not quite from that region. It's one of my favorites and actually the only incense that I own. That's why I'm burning it. Still amazing. Also, I'm gonna do a quick sage smudge without burning it, just invoking the vibes. Maybe do a little charcoal near the bindi, right there. All right, we're covering all cultures today. So I'm going to start with this book, If the War Goes On by Hermann Hesse, same author of Siddhartha and Steppenwolf. His books are very overarching, incredibly dualistic, with the good and the bad, the pendulum swing of the human psyche and disposition. So it is a book about World War I in 1914 to 18 in Germany, and so the part I'm going to read to you is from a small chapter called Zarathustra's Return, which is the same Zarathustra from Nietzsche on Thus Spake Zarathustra, that one book. I'm also reading that. It's very crazy cool. Wow, it's heady, it's heady. All right, this is about action and suffering. It opens with, "What ought we to do, you ask me?" And what I'm reading to you are 2 paragraphs at the end where he answers. "See what you have accomplished with all your fuss and bustle and sooty occupations. What have you got left? Your money is gone, and with it all the glitter of your cowardly busyness. And what true action has all your activity engendered? Where is the great man, the shining hero, the man of action? Where is your Kaiser? Who is to take his place? And where is your art? Where are the works that would justify your times? Where are the great, joyful ideas? Ah, you have suffered far too little and not nearly well enough to produce anything good and radiant. For true action, good and radiant action, my friends, does not spring from activity, from busy bustling. It does not spring from industrious hammering. It grows in the solitude of the mountains. It grows on the summits where silence and danger dwell. It grows out of the suffering which you have not yet learned to suffer." I get goosebumps reading this. Not knowing how you suffer and feeling suffering is a way to grow, and the act of sitting and dwelling and reflecting in that suffering of yours and others is where true and radiant and good action comes. Not the busyness and the activity, or the boots to the ground canvassing. That's not where true action comes from, says Hermann Hesse. So it's quite a different perspective on what you can actually do and what doing actually does in our world. Also, what's so interesting about this series, like I said in the last episode, is how I come across and what's beneath the surface. Superficially, I am more of a personality and I am acting like myself when I'm not discussing topics of such grave importance. So, I am Max, and then when I break down what I'm talking about, namely Yemen and the shit that's going on there, it's really hard to come across as Max. Basically, it's so hard to keep this topic acceptable and digestible because you need somebody to convey the information in ways that are comfortable, but it's kind of like taking cactus prickles and blending that into a smoothie and then drinking a cactus smoothie. Oh God, I love smoothies and I'm like trying to tell you about smoothies, but this hurts. So it's just weird. It's really bringing out 2 sides of me, which is even more applicable to Hermann Hesse, because he talks about the split personality in his books of Demian and Siddhartha and then Steppenwolf. It's man and woman's struggle of becoming one when two sides of their personality are dominating the playing field. That's definitely what I'm feeling now, so that quote is even more applicable. And I'm going to take it in a little bit further as I get ready and head out. Plus, I'm also a big fan of this channel called Geography Now. Check it out on YouTube. I'm going to model this kind of off of the way they do the episodes. They go through the countries, A through Z. It's fun, it's concise, it's kind of witty, it's interesting. I like it a lot. Check it out, and let's do this. Alright, welcome to Griffith Park. This is one of my favorite spots on the side near the 5, a nice quiet area outside where I can discuss with you Yemen. So this is Yemen. It's in the Middle East on the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula. It has very fertile lands, but development is not what it could be. It's surrounded by the Red Sea to the west with predominantly sandy plains, and the Gulf of Aden on the south with hills that jut into mountains. In the north are the Central Mountains with desert slopes and fertile plains that actually flow into Saudi Arabia, and that part of that country is actually called the Empty Quarter. It's kind of cool. They look like this. To me, sand represents how time looks, in a way, how it's shaped and flowed through movement. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Back in the day, Yemen was the king of the spice trade, like we talked about. There was a dam built in Marib, hope I'm pronouncing all these names right, which created innovative agriculture and irrigation for that area. And this also bolstered the economic clout and trading power of Yemen in the ancient world. Yemen was actually called Arabia Felix back in the day, meaning Happy Arabia. But then Rome came in, and they diverted all the caravan trading routes from land to the Red Sea, lessening the impact of Yemen on the global sphere and their power within the trading, spice, agriculture, incense world. So thus, this weakening of the Yemeni trade impact and power paved the way for Christian nations like the Abyssinians of modern Ethiopia and the Sassanids of Persia to spread their influence throughout the area before the rise of Islam in the 7th century AD. Now, Yemenis actually converted to Islam much faster than the region around them and became some of the first foot soldiers to walk in the northern, eastern, and western directions to spread the Muslim territory. So what they did was establish basically a theocracy called the Zaydi Imamate. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that, alongside with the Rasulid Empire, strengthened this dynasty and forged a strong bond between the lowlands and the highlands within Yemen, making them stronger throughout the rise of Islam. Then for about the next 10 centuries, the Ottomans, the Portuguese, the Egyptians, and then far later the British, and then the Ottomans again, struggled with seizing the land and culture and society of Yemen. Then fast forward all the way to World War I, where Yemen was actually under Ottoman control, but because the Ottomans lost and evacuated in 1918, opening the doors for Yemeni rule. So then basically the country split in two. In the north, the royalists were supplied and armed by the Jordanians and the Saudis, and in the south, the Egyptians backed the Republican forces. This, of course, caused a multitude of issues. The north went through various bloodless coups and different leaders, while the south went through British occupation between 1839 and 1967. But then a series of opposition groups said, hey Brits, get out of here, increasing challenges, go, 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 go. The south then became a people's republic, and in the 70s, various leaders tried their hand at creating a Marxist society based on their views of what Marxism should be. The south was then renamed the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen, and the Russian, Soviet, USSR influence was heavy in that region during that time. Then in the 80s, you have a series of short-lived wars, some of them around 12 days, with different leaders, with different spheres of influences being brought to power here and there and moving and usurping the other, all the way up until May 22nd, 1990, when the North and South finally became one beautiful country. Like I said, the continued modern history of Yemen after 1990 will be discussed in the second episode, because all of those issues kind of brought us to where we are today, and it's horrible and merits its own section. The GDP of Yemen is around 35 to 36 billion US dollars, but the currency is the rial. Real. Sounds similar to Brazilian real. Not sure if I'm pronouncing all of this right, but it looks like this. So the country of Yemen is about twice the size of the state of Wyoming. 2 of those make up the country. The capital is Sana'a, I think, and their national language is Arabic. So as we have learned from various things, including the crazy travel ban of the 45th, the religion of Yemen is predominantly Muslim, around 91%, with a Sunni majority and a Shia minority, but the other religions are represented. You have Christianity, you have Judaism, you have Hinduism, all those sects are there too, just far, far less. And crazily enough, their national symbol is the golden eagle, just like America, or close to it. We're all so similar after all, aren't we? Their products for internal use and export include crude oil and petroleum refining, cotton, textile, and leather goods, ship repair, and food processing and handcrafts, just to name a few. And other industries include agriculture with grain, fruits, veggies, dairy products, poultry, etc. Major exports include, surprise, surprise, crude oil, coffee, and then dried and salted fish. And their major imports are food and live animals, machinery, and chemicals. And I'm going to end this segment with a short clip of a traditional Yemeni dance that I found on Twitter. I don't know the name, but I will put it on a banner somewhere here. It's very simple, but really shows a coalescence of culture. And we're back. After learning about Yemen up until 1990, the year I was born, I lit incense once again and went back to this book because there are more things to say about this country and about what we know and things of that nature. Goals and ideals for people and societies. So, in another section of this book, If the War Goes On, Speech After Midnight, Hermann Hesse says this, 2 paragraphs. Year after year now we have witnessed well-nigh unendurable horror, and others less favored than ourselves have suffered. Some here and there are still suffering, every torment of body and soul. Amid blood and tears, many have cast off the opinions and classifications by which the average man orders his world in comfortable times. Many have awakened. Many have been smitten by conscience. Many have sworn, if I live through this, I shall become different and better. Today, as always, these are the homini bonae voluntatis, the men of goodwill. To them, a fragment of the world mystery has been disclosed. They alone, and not any nations, classes, leagues, or organizations, are the repositories of the future, and they alone have the secret power of faith. Once, in a sleepless night, sleepless because of the atrocities perpetuated under Hitler had just been brought home to me for the first time, I wrote a poem in which I tried, in defiance of the horror, to profess my faith. The last lines of my poem are as follows. Therefore, to us erring brothers, love is possible even in discord. Not judgment or hatred, but patient love, and loving patience led us closer to the goal. Loving patience led us closer to the goal. That's the takeaway. Learning is a slow and steady process. It's a patient endeavor. things we need to slowly build on. By our own bootstraps we walk and fill our minds with new information. I hope I've done that with you today. Please join us tomorrow when we learn about the even more intricate and crazy timeline that took place in Yemen between 1990 and the present moment. I may stop somewhere before the 45th administration just so I have complete information up through Obama. We shall see. Peace, love, harmony, beauty, namaste. Thank you. See you tomorrow.